Hello, and welcome to another episode of Product and Cake. Today, as always, you can imagine what I'm going to say next, but there is a published author in our podcast studio who is also my co-host. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. Thank you, Goncha. Just stopped reading, and now I'm super happy to record with you and our awesome guest today, because here with us is Shobhit Chugh. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Shobhit is actually product career coach, and he's also looking back into a very long history of various product roles. So I see Google, very shiny, where you worked as a product manager, but you also bring your experiences as a founder and also as a consultant. And you are now, if I see that correctly, 6 years already in this product coaching business. So
that's correct.
Nice. So that is a lot of wisdom and perspective we have today in our podcast. But before we tap into that one, let us start with a good old check-in question. And I would like to know, what's your favorite place in your neighborhood?
It's this new tea and cake place that opened up recently that we went to, very British style with sandwiches and whatnot. So that's my new favorite place that's in my neighborhood.
Nice. And I like the name.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the name reminds me of something.
Yeah.
Gonja, what's your favorite place in your neighborhood?
It's, as much as I love this question, it is very hard to answer because there are a lot of places I like it in my neighborhood. There is a very small corner in a park that is kind of like a community built area that all the neighbors from time to time can go work there. You can have gardening experience there. They sometimes have dance classes, and it's just neighborhood built. So everyone contributes. You can go and say, hey, I want to teach this weekend. And then you can just post it on a bullet board, and then there will be people from neighborhood showing up. It's really cool. I love it.
Nice. So we should have a podcast recording there.
Yeah.
Podcast recording.
Yeah. And it improved my German because everyone speaks German there. So
my most favorite place, I am living very much in the south of Berlin, and it is just a few hundred meters to the city border. And if I cross that, I am already in a small forest, and there's a jogging trail next to cows and horses and field of corn and so on. And it's like from Berlin to the land, to the countryside in just a few steps. That is my most favorite place.
Nice. That sounds great.
Love it. So getting a rural feel or the country feel right outside the city. That's pretty awesome.
That beautiful thought in our mind of our favorite spot in our neighborhood. Let's start. And I want to ask you, Shobhit, for those who don't know you, could you explain your role a little bit more and what you're currently doing?
Absolutely. So I run a career coaching company for product managers. Essentially, the way we look at our mission is, can we help you achieve your potential? The biggest regret people have is not so much that they, didn't do this or they didn't save something or whatnot. It's like, did they go for the things that they knew that they were capable of, but they were doubting themselves? Now, tactically, that might mean that we help people both advocate for themselves within their company and then discover and find the right kind of job in the job market. But I've been doing that for the past 6 years and came from a career as a product manager. So only work with product managers, and I love this dynamic space.
And your services are only for product managers or general for people working in the tech industry?
Only product managers. We've been very particular about that. Yeah, that way we can, we know the space. We don't give advice for something that we just don't know.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Can you quantify a little bit the company and your team? So with how many people you are working, and maybe you have it off your head, how many product managers you helped already?
Yeah, so the team itself is like we have about 15 full-time folks. 30 of our coaches are part-time. They, might be working as a product manager at some company, and then fractionally they work with us. That allows us to be on top of what's really going on in different companies and interviews and whatnot. And we've probably worked at this point with about 1,200 or so product managers.
Wow, fantastic. And it is always the product manager who gets in contact with you, or is it also maybe sometimes the company that want to upskill their product people?
99% it's a product manager.
Mm-hmm.
And, very often it's like they are at a major pivotal point in their career, and one choice might be to leave that company. So that's why they're getting in touch with us like by themselves rather than...
And maybe not the company itself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. In fact, the funny thing is some people have asked me, hey, do you think I could get my company to pay for it? And I'm like, to get your company to pay for you to leave the company, I don't think that's going to happen. But still.
Interesting. A lot of companies do have learning budgets, so I think technically you can use that as your learning budget without necessarily disclosing this to your manager that your goal at the end of this learning is to leave. But I think it is also important when you want to take a next step in your career, if you want to ask for a promotion, if you want to get into more management roles or become a lead, become a staff product manager, I think it is absolutely important to take the training.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is you own your own career. Nobody else is looking out for you. It's you are responsible for it. And so invest your time, money, everything based on that.
Exactly. I fully agree. And how did you end up doing this?
Well, I've known that I wanted to be a career coach since I was probably 20. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Not the case at all. So
I was so shocked. I was like, wow, since I was 5, I loved coaching people in their life.
Nothing like that. But actually what happened was I went through a phase in my career where I prided myself on always being a top performer, a good performer. And in this product management role, I was terrible. Like I was really bad. Like I was rated the lowest rating and all those things happened. And it was not because of a lack of trying. And I was extremely puzzled. I'm like, what's going on? And then during the next year, I sort of rebuilt myself at that company. And a part of the rebuilding was me getting some external coaching that was not specific to product. It was more like mindset related. And then doing my own research, talking to a lot of people, trying to figure out where had I gone wrong. Now, out of that negative experience, and then sort of coming back and doing very well in the next year, came some learnings that I was like, hey, I just want to share these. So I started by launching free class, and my whole thing was, hey, I'm going to run this 10-week program completely free. Only thing is you need to apply for it and you need to show up. If you stop showing up, you're out. So 40 people applied. I selected 8. 7 of them were there till the last session, which for me was hey, this is helpful. And at the end of it, I was asking them, hey, what really changed for you? And everybody kept saying, oh, I feel I'm a lot more intentional now. And I was like, perfect. That's going to be the name of the company. So, I created that out of that. And then over time, it was a process of me figuring out, is this something that's valuable that people would be willing to pay for, what I should do, and building it out. And I did for about 2 years while working full time because, I couldn't afford to just leave and be like, cool, the money will come. No, I had to take care of that as well. And so it was basically working 2 things at once. And then I eventually left to continue this.
Nice. And I really love the name, especially because there is this group accidental product manager
Yeah.
and you're the intentional product manager. I love the name.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if so, what do you think would break in the career of product managers if in general, not your coaching services, but in general coaching did not exist?
Hmm.
What impact do you think it could have had?
Actually, the interesting thing is, I don't think anything would break. But what will happen is people just won't reach newer heights as fast as they could have. So it's not so much about, hey, nothing, you are going to absolutely fail. But the core thing I focus on is, like there's the doing the work, and then there's being able to sell the value of the work both internally and externally. And that's the part I tend to focus more on. Although I also coach product managers how to be just better in doing the work. But selling the value is something that a lot of people feel not great about. That, hey, like, who am I? Like, what am I now in marketing myself? Like, yes, you are. Part of it is because if other people in the company understand the value you're providing, they're actually going to make better decisions, not just for your career, but for the company itself. And, you know, another product manager, they might be doing just a good job as you, but if they're better at selling the value, they might get more resources and they might get like just more attention, which went away from you. And then when you are out in the market looking for a new role or thinking about a new role, this becomes even more important. So that's the part I tend to focus on. And, like, to be honest, half the battle is how you do it, but the other half is the mental battle, the mindset related aspects around it. That is just as important.
I would say in most of the cases, when you look back at these difficult decisions, right? Should I invest in my own career? Should I take this coaching now? Oh, that is so expensive. Should I really do it? If you look back after a while, you always came to the conclusion, damn it, I should have done it much earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Because it opens this new perspective and helps you so much to recognize more. But I think maybe in your long career working as a product coach, you also saw some other things. What's a misconception people have about what you are doing?
Okay. A misconception sometimes people have, especially about our core program, is we are going to basically take what they're doing and make them go faster. And very often we have to break what they're doing right now and come up with a new approach for them to succeed. Just give you an example of the job search. Most people, how they do job search? Cool. I'm ready for job search. I did my resume. Let me start applying. Oh, I have an interview. Cool. Let me start preparing then for it. That whole script is completely broken because you're starting off with applying what often the jobs you might be getting are might be a matter of somewhat luck, and then you've like narrowed yourself into a local maxima rather than optimizing for the whole. So what we often need to do is we're like, cool, for the first 4 weeks you're not going to apply for any jobs. We're going to work on getting a very clear strategy of what it is that you really want. What is your, what I call unique angle of mastery? Just what makes you special? What is the evidence that will support that? Once we have that in place, your resume is easy, your interview answers are easy. I mean, easier, it's never easy. And then you know where to apply. So it's breaking the process as people want to do it and are used to doing it. That is often, like the huge difference.
That's very interesting. I have rarely thought about it this way. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. I wonder what is currently what is the biggest challenge you're tackling with?
Okay. Over the past, let's say, year and a half, or maybe even the year, the biggest challenge is not so much the slowing job market, but the perception and the actions that result from it. So I would probably say this morning, just like on my Slack channel, maybe this is me a little boasting a bit, but like there were like 3 calls of, hey, I have an offer, I need to negotiate. And like my head coach was getting on calls with people, helping them negotiate. Like things were moving pretty well. But when there's a perception that there's like a huge, and some of the perception's real, that there is a lot of people looking and fewer jobs, what that results in is people who were like on the edge of taking action, they're like, I'll just wait, like, I'll go slow. I want to focus on my job to make sure nothing happens. So it's more, as always, the procrastination that's a result of mindset issues, lack of confidence that, hey, you can land something pretty quickly. That is, like, to be honest, the biggest challenge. We know like what it means to position someone well. Like a lot of those things are actually not that hard. Actually, that's my belief about life. Life is not that hard. The only problem is we're always fighting with ourselves in everything. And same thing that's true pretty much here. And again, this is true for many of us. Like some of us are struggling with like extreme circumstances that are hard. No question about that. But for most of us, it's the internal battle that's difficult to solve. So some of those internal battles caused by what's in the market and what it's made out to be is the biggest challenge we face and work against.
The perception of the market definitely changed a lot. And I mean, you are also able to see how many people applied on LinkedIn, right? And the numbers are just crazy. Online for 6 hours and 100 applications, something like that.
Can I share one quick story about that though?
Yeah, sure.
LinkedIn changed it. So LinkedIn used to say 100 people applied, but all they were tracking was number of people who clicked into the job. So they recently changed it to 100 people clicked it to give like a more, but you're totally right. Like a lot of applications flow in, and to be honest, often the way around it is not to apply, but to like have someone refer you. It's just the job market is broken from that point of view.
Yeah, and if I mean, that is a very good insight. Thank you for sharing that, because it triggers so much internal battles with yourself, right? You're looking at all the postings, all the successful messages. You don't maybe know exactly how your unique angle is looking like. And then in addition, we have also the 5 big large language models at our side that are pretending to do the product manager job at all in maybe 1 or 2 days. So how is AI shaping your work? And
okay, that's an amazing question. For me personally, it saves me so many hours a day, because we're using various AI tools both for our clients and as well as for ourselves, trained by us. So I think that's the important thing. Like, they've been trained on what good looks like, and it helps me write content. It helps me quickly understand how somebody's resume might be a good fit for a certain kind of role, help me understand common points. And then even for our clients, like, we've always been like, coaching needs to be human, but can it be helped by AI? And so in our own internal systems, we built tools like, okay, if you want to write a story, let AI help you out. Don't waste all the time like trying to polish it and whatnot. Give it the key points. You'll have something good come out of it. And then we will help you really bring out the things that differentiate you. So it's become and it's like a major investment for us to really help reduce the amount of work both we do as well as our clients need to do to get through like the things I was talking about earlier, figuring out what your unique angle is and whatnot, and communicate your value.
Yeah, interesting, definitely. So awesome tools to shape our workflows and to accelerate on multiple things. But how do you look at the product manager work itself?
Yeah.
So will it be then one product manager and 5 large language models to run or to support 50 engineers?
Maybe the reverse. So, just like how we talk about product managers, their work is scaling, so are engineers, right? And in fact, Marty Kagan said this, so did Ravi Mehta, who's on my podcast. It's like, look, if engineers are getting a lot more productive, the core of product management work of understanding customers, of like figuring out how you ask them the questions, of making those decisions, that will be also improved, but not as much as you can improve the productivity of an engineer. So it actually might be that a team of 3 engineers, 1 designer, and 1 product manager is highly productive, could do the work of many other folks, and you end up having even more product management roles. So there might be actually a reversal in the ratios. Rather than 1 to 50, it might actually shift to 1. Rather than like maybe like 1 to 7, that's right now. It might go to 1 to 3 rather than 1 to 50. I also have a belief that we're all guessing, and we'll see who's right at the end of the day. But that's my hypothesis on this.
Like in our jobs, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Great question. What do you think is going to happen? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I am really jumping from one side to the other. One day I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, everything will be automated. Then I'm deep into code and using all the AI tools, and they are really, I mean, just like me, thinking around, trying out things, doing stuff. And I realize, okay, if I don't guide them very well into the right direction, they are actually not helping. It's the opposite. They're creating code over code endlessly. And then I have so much things to debug and to understand and to dig into that it slows me actually down. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful that we living in that time where we will figure out on how to balance that and how to incorporate these new tools.
So back in the day, I was an engineer, and I used to say, I love to code. Just don't make me debug anything, including my own work. And one of my head coaches and I were like tinkering with a bunch of these tools and building something, and it was somewhat useful. But then we figured, rather than doing that, what if we hired an engineer who can tinker with these tools, and now who will be like 10 times more productive? Would that be a better use of our time? And we were like, yep, that would definitely be more helpful. So it's interesting. This whole world is very interesting.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges will be the risk of unanimity. So if everyone and every product and every company starts using AI instead of people, then we will have everything looking similar to each other, every product looking similar to each other, and we will miss the spark that we currently have. I don't think I'm not in any shape or form against AI or any new tool that is going to save us time. I'm actually a big fan. But at the same time, I think if everything is common sense, or if we follow what makes sense, we will lose the creative aspect of it. We will lose what sets the product, the idea, the action apart. So I don't think default necessarily is the best way to move forward. And I think what AI is going to offer us, at least for now, is very default.
I'll say 2 quick things and then I'll stop blabbering about this. But one, Peter Thiel, when he's like looking at Thiel Fellows, he always asks, what is it that you believe in that other people don't believe in? And which is the insight to making this startup successful. And to your point, Gonchif, if all the AIs are thinking the same, like somebody has to think different. And then there's the whole problem of AI hallucination. which is we've asked AI to be like, cool, like, this person applying to this role, write a pitch for them. And it came up with a pitch. And it completely made up stuff that they had never done. And so this hallucination stuff, like AI will always give you an answer, but it might be just completely hallucinating.
Yeah. We can find creativity actually in the hallucination, which is the interesting part. I was in a talk that the person who was giving the talk was talking about how to use the AI hallucination to create very creative images. And it was kind of a talk/gallery walk of this hallucination images and how those can be actually really, really beautiful and like an artwork. And that was really beautiful because I think we can use the hallucination in not when we want actual thought process and when we want something to be very analyzed in a clear way, but rather when we want to use a creativity, I think we can allow the room for hallucination and we can benefit from it. It's kind of sparkles a little bit of magic on top of what we get. But similar to what you said about what's one thing that you believe and others might not believe, we have a similar game, I can say, that we play at the end of each episode. And it's kind of a rapid fire that is not so rapid dilemmas. So I will say a statement and you can say if you agree with that, or it's a yay, or if you don't agree with that, it's a nay. And we can discuss that a little bit. Are you ready?
Ready.
Great. All right. The first one. A feature request from a C-level executive is prioritized over roadmap initiatives.
Nay.
Do you want to tell us why?
Well, first of all, you never prioritize feature requests. You understand what is the underlying problem you need to solve. And then you see whether it fits in with the roadmap themes or what's the business value for it. That is what you need to do as a product manager. That is the hard work of product management. Sometimes you have to do it because your company is going to make $5 million. Literally, it was a role I was in where that was the case. So it's cool. It's prioritized because the business value is right there. But you have to find the problem and then figure out what it drives in terms of business value.
Yeah, and be brave enough to ask the questions also against the C-level, right? I mean, maybe you are early in your career and you think, oh my gosh, the CEO wants to have the button in blue, let's do it. But no, they hired you actually to ask that questions and to align that with the user needs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I fully agree. So, next one. PMs in general should be measured primarily on the revenue impact of their decisions.
Oh, nay.
Can you tell us why?
Well, primarily in some products, yes. But many products, the result that gives that revenue impact happens 3 years later. So I believe that you need to have leading indicators. I also believe that you need to have an element of measuring them on process and rigor rather than just results, because sometimes results don't come because of XYZ reasons, but they did the right thing. So those are 2 reasons why I say need. In some circumstances, maybe yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. And I think we often also miss the soft skill part of product management. So the stakeholder management, how you create a team identity, how you inject confidence in your team, how you handle tough and challenging situations. So I think all of these are extremely important and sometimes is overlooked when we are assessing product management.
Agreed.
All right. Last but not least, all product managers should have at least a small technical knowledge.
Yeah. The like sort of what level of technical knowledge, my belief is you need to be as technical as your customer, maybe slightly more. And so if you are going to build a product for engineers, you better be fairly technical. So that's my belief.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, that's well said. But I also want to vote for don't try to be more technical as you are. So you don't need to be more technical than your engineers, right? It is okay to say the engineer is doing the technical decision and you explain the why and the user requirements around it. But going after your 6 weeks HTML bootcamp into ChatGPT copy-pasted answers in Slack discussions could be critical on that one, I want to say.
Yes, great.
But in general, understanding how a website is working and what's the difference between an app and a website, and actually what is the technical surrounding of what you are building and what is a cache and how do you clean it, and all these basics, that's important.
Makes sense. And if you're building for engineers, then no APIs. But if not, you're maybe not.
Good point.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. Now I'm wondering what an AI would have said to our yay nay game. Maybe we need to have one ChatGPT episode soon.
Yeah,
that would be really fun.
Have ChatGPT and Claude come and, you could have multiple dialogues.
Yeah. Season 5. Yeah. Then with all the LLMs, that would be funny.
Awesome.
Shobhit, as a closing, if you could give every product tech person one reminder for this week, what would it be?
My reminder would be to, more than anything, take care of yourself and work on your psychology first. Depending on how you show up to a situation, the results can be dramatically different, even if your skills don't change, even if the situation doesn't change. So I'm always a proponent of mindset and psychology first. Everything else follows. So take care of yourself.
That is really beautiful. Thank you so much. Thanks for that reminder.
And when should we contact you? So when I am very early in my product career, should I already get in touch with you, or is your ideal customer profile more the advanced product manager?
So it's product managers at all levels. Like I think it's more when you are like really faced with major career decisions and moves. You're thinking of, should I look, or you're in the market looking for something new, or you started a new job and you're like, hey, how do I do well in the first 90 days? That's really the more the job to be done rather than stage in your career.
Awesome. And where can we find you? Where can people find you?
Intentionalproductmanager.com, or my LinkedIn is probably the best place. My first and last name together. Shobhit Chugh would be the LinkedIn to go after.
Nice. Then we will check that out. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode. Very insightful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Gonche. Yeah, this was a wonderful conversation. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for us as well. And for the listeners, please recommend this podcast to your friends, colleagues, whoever you know that is a product manager, wants to be a product manager, have thought about product management, is kind of into product management, is into product managers. Just recommend this podcast.
Have a nice one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.